This week on the Dinkum Department, should Jack Wighton have been sent off for having a bit of a nibble? Can the Storm bounce back and win the comp? Have the Roosters played their grand final after that shocking win against the Sharks? Is Nicho Hynes the right man to lead the Sharks to glory? Possibly. And finally, was the Panthers' social media post disrespectful? That's hilarious that we're even talking about it. Outrage, there's plenty of it, especially in the NRL finals. We're going to decide if it's real or ridiculous. I'm Chris Danks. You, my friend, are Liam O'Loughlin. We are the Dinkum Department. Woo! Finals week 1. Sharks are out. Doesn't matter. We can finally enjoy footy again. What was your game of the round?
Knights Raiders, Sunday Arvo. It was very.
It couldn't be any other match.
Yeah, very back and forth contest, wasn't it? It looked like the Raiders were going to pull off a huge upset in the first half, and then the Knights clawed away in the second, and I was like, geez, they're going to run up a bit of a cricket score here, and then the Raiders showed a lot of heart, I thought, towards the back end of that game, and obviously got done in extra time. But yeah, that was the standout game of the round for me.
I thought there was going to be a field goal at the end from the Raiders, and it just never.
Yeah, no,
they never eventuated.
They bungled it a little bit, and then the Knights did as well. Ponga was setting up for a field goal, and then Phoenix Crossland didn't know where to go. But they got the penalty and 2 points, and through to face the Wars next weekend.
Who do you like there?
I think Hastings is big loss for Newcastle. Yeah. I know Adam Clune's done a decent job when he's come in, and Tyson Gamble was enormous yesterday for the Knights, but I don't know. I don't like their chances.
Tasty.
I don't like their chances without Hastings, but it should be a pretty decent game.
All right, let's get into it. Jack Wighton, Hungry Jack Bitten, whatever you want to call him. So the Raiders, they lost to Newcastle 30-28 next time. Wighton did not get sent for having a nibble on Tyson Gamble. Didn't get a penalty, no sin bin, nothing. What is it with people named Tyson and being involved in biting incidents? Ashley Klein's been copping a fair bit of heat in the post-game conversation. You had Corey Parker, you had Braithen Nasta, Michael Ennis all claiming Wighton should have been sent off. What do you reckon? What was your initial thoughts on it?
My initial thoughts, I was like, geez, I better start writing something here because that was pretty damning evidence. Yeah, it didn't look great for Jack. I understand what he was saying to the referee. Like, look, he's got his arm around my mouth, but I mean, the video replays weren't too kind to him. So I was very surprised to see the course of action that was taken. It is a tricky one for the referees because at the end of the day, it is an allegation. If you send a bloke off in a semi-final and then they don't, end up getting found guilty of something as serious as like a bite or an eye gouge, then you can have even more heat on you. So it's a tricky one, I understand, but I do think that he probably got it wrong. And if Newcastle ended up losing that game, and Jack Wighton scored a try in extra time or something like that, it would have been outrage. It's
a weird one because, as you said, it's an elimination final. It's only an allegation, but this kind of things happened previously, like NRLW this year with Ashburn, who plays for the Broncos. The bunker looked at it for ages. And they copped heaps of heat because they slowed the game down, but they ended up making the right call. She got sent. Especially when Wighton kind of admitted to biting him. I was like, but what am I supposed to do?
It was a pretty clear mark, and there was even a little bit of slobber
he
as well.
He chopped on him good. Yeah. So, I don't know. Surely you'd think he gets done kind of like for 4 weeks or whatever. Yeah, kind of like what happened with Proctor in 2020.
Yeah, but I don't think in 2020 Kevin Proctor didn't get sent off either. So...
Oh, you're right.
I think that the precedent there is if it's an allegation like that or something that maybe can't be proven in the moment 100% one way or the other, the referees probably just place the incident on report as opposed to penalising the team. So, yeah, I would expect that Jack will get a 4-week suspension. And I know Canberra a few weeks ago when they took Corey Horsburgh to the judiciary and he didn't get off, they said we're probably not going to be coming back anytime soon. They're certainly not going to be doing it for a bloke that's there next year. So I think Jack will be copping whatever the early guilty plea is because there's no way he's going to get off if he does get charged.
So real or ridiculous, Jack Wighton should have been sent off.
Absolutely. Like the evidence was pretty clear. And yeah, you can't do that. That's a send off. If he's found guilty of biting someone, that's a send off every day of the week. So look, I understand it's a balancing act for the referee in that situation, but the bunker is there for a reason, and they had
should have used it.
A decent enough look at the replays. What about yourself? Do you think send off?
Actually, thinking about it this morning, I thought it was ridiculous in that it was an allegation in a semi-final, in an elimination final. That's what you just use the judiciary for. However, you are right, though. If you've got the bunker there, bloody use it. We all talk about them when they take too long with the bunker. But in this instance, yeah, no, you're right. Wighton should have been sent off for taking a delicious bite of Tyson Gamble. Tough one.
Oh, well, doesn't matter now. It's South Sydney.
Good luck.
Jeez, that was just what they need as well. South Sydney. Just what they need.
Moving on to the Storm. They got shot out by the Bronx 26-0. Even though I exclusively predicted there was a chance the Storm were going to put 11 plus on the Broncos. Never trust anything I say. First time in 14 years. Madness. Even I watched it back last night. The Storm were just never in it.
No.
Like, not even close.
No.
Possibly the worst combined games I've seen from Harry Grant, Cam Munster, Sharon Pearce.
Harry Grant was he had a tough night at the office.
Yeah.
Really tough night at the office for Harry. Obviously, Nick Meaney probably didn't have his best game either. Probably got shuffled around a little bit with some HIAs. But yeah, the spine in totality were not where they needed to be. Their attack, because they had plenty of opportunities, their attack just wasn't good enough to break the Brisbane defence.
I think Xavier Coates is in doubt as well.
Yeah, so initially it looked probably worse than the scans have showed. So he's maybe 50-50 for their match with the Roosters on Friday night. But I would imagine that he's probably going to be out. It's a syndesmosis, I believe, but it's probably on the lower end of the scale. So if he does miss time, it might only be a week, but they might not be there either.
So Storm will take on the Roosters at Amy Park this weekend. I don't know if I'd call the Roosters red hot at the moment. I thought they were pretty ordinary against the Sharks.
They got away with a win.
They got away with it.
Yeah.
But is this it for the Storm? Like, are they just making up the numbers in this final? Can they still bounce back and win the premiership?
No chance.
Oh, okay.
I thought Brisbane showed the other night that they are up here.
Yeah.
Penrith are on that level as well, and everyone else is a few rungs down for mine at the moment. Any team can beat any team on their day, as we know, but Penrith and Brisbane are clearly a cut above from what we saw on the weekend, and that performance from the Broncos was as good as I've seen in a finals game for a really long time. Especially, two top four teams, and one that's littered with State of Origin stars and guys with a lot of finals experience at the Storm. Yeah, that was really, really impressive. Adam Reynolds was amazing. Just Reece Walsh, all the guys you expected to stand up for the Broncos, they stood up. But in defence as well, especially, is where I was really impressed with their work. So yes, I think the Storm, 50-50 game, I guess, against the Roosters, I would say. Both teams probably missing a couple through injury, but after that, I can't see them getting past Penrith a week after if they do manage to win this weekend. It's
going to be a bit of a casualty ward match, I think. Oh, I'm the same. I do think they'll get past the Roosters, but they're making up the numbers.
Yeah, and I just think maybe the mental scars from a game like that against the Broncos, where they were held scoreless, which if you go back over the last 15, 20 years under Craig Bellamy, how many times that's happened. Yeah. And obviously the unfortunate injury for Ryan Pappenhausen as well, that, probably going to weigh on the minds of a few of the players. Obviously the initial reports were made it out to be a little bit more serious than it's ended up being, which is good news for Ryan. He should be back for pre-season training, but yeah, I just think the emotional scars and the mental scars from a game like that against the Broncos probably going to be too much for Melbourne to overcome.
Yeah, I agree. The Roosters in the other match, they advanced to week 2 of the finals with a 1-point victory at Shark Park construction site. 13-12, it looked god-awful. A few of my mates were there. I refused to go there for finals matches. But they're just like, everything you hate about the place was happening. Like, toilet line's horrible, beer line's worse, sight line's terrible. They need to do something on it. Anywho, Teddy got sin-binned, Manu out, Swiley out, Tupou's out.
Hargraves is out. Yet they still managed to do it. It reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you remember 2016, Cowboys and Broncos played an amazing extra time game in, must have been a qualifying final or elimination final. It was week 1. And I think it was like 26-20 and the Cowboys won, and then they played the Sharks the next week and they were just gassed. Like, as I said, they'd already played their grand final. They'd done really well to get that far.
I think the same's going to happen with the Roosters now. I think they've played their grand final.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning towards agreeing with you there. They emptied the gas tank on Saturday night against Cronulla, and it was a really gutsy victory.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been Buzz Rothfield said it's probably one of the best Roosters victories in a long time, or of all time. So it's hard to disagree with that, given the adversity and the things that went against them during the game, before the game, with injuries and sin bins and the like. So yeah, they did have to put everything they possibly could into that game because it was sudden death, and now going down to Melbourne with Manu and Suaalii both out, Hargraves is still out, Dan Tupou's a 50-50 chance at best. So I think they're up against it, and I do think they probably have played their grand final now. But considering where they were a couple of months ago,
it's still massive.
It's a pretty good achievement to get to week 2 of the finals for the Roosters, given where they were. But yeah, I can't see them extending their run for too much longer.
I thought we were going to have Lindsay Collins playing in the centres there for a while. Like, it was just madness. So well done to them anyway for getting that far. Let's hurt my feelings. Nicho Hynes and the Sharks. 6 consecutive finals games they've lost now. Nice little record. Second straight year they go out in straight sets. They did have players missing, not as much as the Roosters. They needed to win that game. They bombed 2 pretty clear chances when Tedesco was off the field. Handling errors at key times. And then probably most concerningly for me as a Cronulla fan, they just can't ice a game. And so what we were going to discuss, real or ridiculous, is Nicho Hynes the right man for Cronulla? Now, when we were talking about this, do you mean right man to lead Cronulla, or as in like their big money player?
Bit of both. Is he the right man to wear the number 7? The number 7 is, who a lot of the results, win, lose or draw, they're placed on the number 7 shoulders. Do you think he is the right man to wear that jersey for Cronulla for the next 6 years? Now he's signed until the end of 2029 on pretty decent coin. And in 2 years now in a row since he has been at the club, they've bounced out in straight sets. Do you think he is the right man to wear the 7?
I think he's the right man to wear the 7. A year removed from the Dally M, which he won, I thought, pretty convincingly. There were glimmers of it on Saturday nights where, when he's playing well, the entire backline looks infinitely times better. But they just, as I said, they couldn't ice the game. They should have been up by 20 by the 70th minute, not battling back and forth. I think it's a little bit ridiculous to say he's not the man for Cronulla. Is he the captain? I don't think so. Finucane's there till the end of 25.
Yeah.
He will be 34 by then, I think. I think he'd be a better option. But in terms of just being the halfback, I think it's Nicho Hynes all the way. I like him and Trindle together. Would
you perhaps shift? I don't know, it doesn't mean too much in the modern game sometimes, but would you shift their roles a little bit next year and have, I know you've said that in the past, possibly have Trindle at 7.
Yeah, I could do that.
And Nicho at 6, because we know how damaging a ball runner Nicho can be, and Trindle probably is more of a game manager than an out-and-out 5'8". Is that something you think the Sharks could look at?
I'd hope so, yeah. I said Trindle's played, he's been a half his entire career. Yeah, I could deal with that, but I think that combination is definitely the way forward for Cronulla.
For what it's worth, I think it's ridiculous. A lot of the criticism that does come Nicho's way, like, he's still their best player.
Yeah, by far.
But I guess 2 years in a row when his performances haven't been as good in finals games as they were in rounds 1 through 25 or 26 or 27. Obviously, he had the Origin setback this year, which probably knocked his confidence a little bit as well. So I don't know if that's still playing a factor, but I think, an off-season, keeping the majority of the same group together, I still think Sharks are going to be a top 8 team for the next few years under Craig Fitzgibbon, and Nicho's going to be a big part of that. But whether they go to the next level, I think he's the right man to be their marquee player, but whether they need to build some other areas around him to get to a Brisbane or a Penrith type of premiership threat, that remains to be seen. But I think they've got the cattle there to be a consistent top 8 side with Nicho either at 6 or 7.
Yeah. What I found really interesting about the game was the forwards rotation. I know nothing about forwards rotation. I'm just saying that literally just from a fan watching, when you have Jesse Calhoun played like 12 minutes, Tom Hazelton played like 13, 14 minutes, and then you got someone like a Toby Rudolph who had 2 30-minute stints and was gassed. Like, so gassed at the end of the game, could barely play. I don't know what happened. They clearly missed even Hamlin-Uele, who I think is their best prop. But, yeah, I think there's definitely improvements that can be made. I've taken notes, Craig.
I think you see that a lot in finals games. Coaches probably lean towards their more experienced players. Tom Hazelton and Jesse Colquhoun have both had really good seasons for the Sharks, but they are still in the infancy of their first grade careers. So, yeah, you do see that a fair bit where coaches will probably give them less minutes and go with the guys that they trust a little bit more, that have more experience. So it didn't pan out for them, but it's not an anomaly to see that kind of thing in a semi-final game.
Yeah, that's fair. And now finally, this is tailor-made for Fair Dinkum Department. We're going to talk about Penrith's social media post, Up the Pars. Funny. Like, not hilarious, but it's not. Were you offended by it?
I wasn't offended. I thought it was some of the cringiest banner I've ever seen, to be honest. It was pretty poor. So I think I saw, or I heard this little thing. I think it was a fan.
Yeah, it's a fan-made song.
Yeah, doing his own little version of the How
Bizarre.
Yeah. So look, I could get it. It's all tongue-in-cheek. I'm not offended by it by any means. I just thought it was shit chat, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't that inventive. It wasn't that funny. But some of the outrage has probably been a little bit over the top.
You were commenting on all the Daily Telegraph stories, weren't you? Saying, this is disrespectful.
It certainly wasn't me.
This is disgusting.
I did not vote in the Daily Telegraph's poll whether or not it was disrespectful.
So it was deleted. Panthers even called up Cameron George, Warrior CEO, and apologised for it, which I thought was a bit weird, but fine, whatever. Was the Penrith social media post disrespectful, real, or ridiculous?
Ridiculous. Of course, it's not disrespectful, of course. It's a bit of silly tongue-in-cheek stuff that, some people are up in arms about. I think it's because everyone loves the Warriors and what they've stood for this year and what they've gone through during the COVID period and how they've managed to bounce back from that. And it's kind of swept over the nation how well they have gone this year and surprised a lot of people. So, myself included. But look, at the end of the day, it's not a massive deal. I thought the apology probably wasn't necessary, but the two clubs do have a good relationship based on coaches and players that have spent time at either club over the years. So look, they obviously have a tight relationship, and Penrith felt they got that one wrong. So that's up to them to apologise. But I think some of the outrage, a bit ridiculous. What about you?
Madness, absolute madness. I think it's fine. Whatever, play on more of it. It's
and
supposed to be fun.
They know that they're the villains as well, Penrith.
They love it.
Yeah, and like Nathan Cleary when he was on Ebbs and Floats, like he spoke about Jerome Luai and some of the other guys there. Like, they know that to a lot of people that aren't Penrith supporters in the NRL, they are the villains, and that's the role that they're happy to play because they keep winning and they're probably on track for a potential third premiership in a row. So as long as they're winning, they can play it up as much as they want.
Madness. Thank you, Penrith, for giving us content every single week. That's it for us. We'll be back next week for round 2 of the NRL Finals. See you then.